Clients got to be motivated. If they got 530 credit score, it's hard to make shit happen.
For sure. I think that's what we run into a lot is we get clients who are just like, oh, yeah, I kind of want to get pre-approved. They're like, they get to that point and they go, for one reason or another, they get cold feet. All right.
Hi.
How's that look, Morgan?
Oh yeah. So it looks legit.
You know what you could do? You could just bring it this way just a little bit if you don't mind.
So are we pretending that we're on
Hey guys, welcome to Zach's podcast here at Home First Lending.
All right.
How's that?
Are you wanting the mic center?
Oh, there we go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, so you clip it
Oh,
on there
yeah,
so
so
people
they-
don't even realize
You
it.
can't tell.
So smart.
Sneaky.
So smart.
Sneaky.
Okay, that looks good. Zach, can you make that a little bit?
I feel like my chair's kind of low.
I just want to make sure it's
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter because these mics don't work.
All right. We're here.
What are we talking about?
Great question. Well, okay. How about, all right, so one of the things I like about you is how much of a go-getter you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see that in everything you do.
Thank you.
So I actually want to ask you some slightly different questions.
All
So,
right, ask me.
I think more along the lines of like leadership and success, mindset, that kind of thing. You
Sure.
You pretty much run this place, right?
Uh-huh. With my partners, I have partners.
How many lenders do you guys have? How many employees do you guys have?
Over 100.
Over 100.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
What's it like to manage 100 people?
Well, a lot of them, we're an entrepreneur organization, so a lot of them, quote unquote, manage themselves. But our core business is we're actually not in the business of loans. We're in the business of helping people do more loans. So our actual business model is providing operational efficiencies and sales strategies to help loan officers close more business, make more money, and keep more money while doing that. So it's great because I work with a lot of people that come in here and have an entrepreneurial mindset, unless of course maybe they go on a team, but we really cater to people who want to start their own team or their own branch. That's actually how we started back in 2005. So it's rewarding to be able to work with those types of people that have that go-getter mindset you talk about.
Yeah. What's your best lender doing? How much business?
50 million a year.
50 million a year? Okay.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Take home? Like what does somebody who does 50 million worth of loans take home?
I mean, it could be, upwards of, depending on the compensation structure they're on, if they're on a team or they're doing it themselves, anywhere between $400,000 to $700,000 a year plus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's okay money.
Yeah, it depends
all
on
right.
it depends on expenses and stuff like that, but
That's okay.
most of our producers are making six figures consistently.
That's the thing that I think, like when someone's going to look for a house, they obviously they need a house, they want a house, they want to have that lifestyle that the house gives them. But everyone really needs, before they can get the house, the loan.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the underappreciated parts of our
Well, it's certainly the least sexy part of the process.
the least sexy part.
Yeah, nobody wakes up and says they want to get a mortgage.
Yeah. And what kind of people do like become lenders? Like from what I've noticed, they're very analytical people. They're like, I got this buddy of mine. He started in real estate, general real estate, got his license. He was actually okay at it. Like, he sold his first house within the first couple of months. And he goes, I don't think it's for me. I want to get into loans. Let me start selling loans.
Yeah, I think probably the analytical and the financial people probably do the worst.
Really?
Because they're overcompensating for what the core competency of this job is, which is to give people access to home ownership. And I think that people want a simplified process. So when you're overly analytical and a financial person or an engineer, you're trying to, explain every little nook and cranny of the situation. So you have to have a combination of, you need to understand what's happening in the market and have some type of financial smarts, understand how numbers work and, what's the best for a client and, cost versus benefit type of thing. But people want certainty and somebody that can walk them through the process. So there's a lot of sales involved. I'm speaking from my particular experience being in the business nearly 20 years. I've seen the ups and downs of the market. I've seen 2% rates. I've seen 8% rates. And one thing is constant: homeownership is is a great tool to increase wealth, right? With that being said, because there's such a variable in rates and experiences in markets, if I tried to dissect every little market versus just sticking to the core competency, helping people get into homes, I wouldn't be where I am today. So what I'm saying in short is like, I can't predict where rates are, going to be in a year from now, right? So if you're a loan officer, you're overly analytical, it's just going to make you procrastinate on, again, what that core competency is, like figuring out how to help that person that's interested in buying a home accomplish that.
You mentioned that real estate is a great tool to building wealth.
Yes.
It's one of the best things that I've ever done for
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
in my net worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like some people hear like Grant Cardone or like other people say crazy stuff.
Yeah, don't buy your own.
Yeah, don't buy real estate. But like like I look at my situation, I'm like,
Yeah,
one of the best things I've ever done.
Guys like Grant Cardone, they want you to
buy their course.
No, to rent an apartment so they can make money off of the apartments that they're buying.
Good point.
It's what Grant Cardone is saying is not wrong. He's just maybe delivering that message in the wrong way. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to convince people that there's ways to create leverage through certain vehicles, right? One being real estate. So I think that there's a different way to do it, right? Like I think a first-time buyer is really smart when they consider buying something like a duplex, right? And they live in one side, rent out the other. That's house hacking, exactly. And then in a year from now, they do the same thing. The VA home loan, you could buy up to 4-unit property with 0 down. And I think the last time I looked at the statistic a few years ago, only 16% of veterans even knew what their home loan benefit was. There's just so many ways to increase wealth through, home ownership. And despite what people like Grant Cardone say, don't own your own home. It's there. People really underestimate what I call the value of a real estate savings account. And what's unique about real estate and why you could build wealth so fast is, I heard Morgan earlier talking about putting 3% down on a home at $9,000. So she was giving an example of a $300,000 house, putting $9,000 down. Let's say you put $9,000 into your bank account, right? And let's just say you earned 5% on that money aggressively in a high yield money market account. So that's about $450 a year that you made off of there. I'm pretty sure my math is correct.
I'm not good at math.
Well, 10% is $900. Half of that.
That would make sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So $450. If you put $9,000 into a $300,000 house and it appreciates at 5% per year, the appreciation occurs on the value of the home, not your capital contribution, your down payment. So now 5% on $300,000, year 2, it's now worth $315,000. So not only do you have that $9,000 that you put in down payment and equity, but now you have $15,000. I don't know another vehicle that after 1 year you could turn your $9,000 into $24,000.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
And I think like I'll take a look at my own situation. I bought a house back in 2019, my primary residence, and I think I put like $7,000 down.
Mm-hmm.
I had the seller pay my.
And you have a couple $100,000 in equity.
And and this is not super typical, but I bought it for $220,000.
Mm-hmm.
I would say today it's worth $350,000, $400,000.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I made mortgage payments, but I also got to live in that house.
Yeah.
And you're right, like in a savings account, the same amount of money would not have made $200,000, let's say, in equity, in net worth.
Yeah. So there's a combination of appreciation, which is meaning your value of your home is going up over time. There's the amortization, which is basically every month you make a payment, even though you're paying interest for a lot in the beginning. People don't tell you, but it's the truth. You are still applying money towards principal, so you're paying that loan down over a period of time. And then the third thing that people don't ever consider is the cash flow difference between a fixed rate mortgage and rising rent costs every year. So yeah, your mortgage is $2,500, and let's even pretend that rent in that area is $2,500 and it's identical. Well, every single year your mortgage is going to stay fixed, but that rent might go up by 5% every year. I mean, I've got rental properties and I raise the rent on them every single year by $50, $100, whatever the number is. So the combination of those three things that's where you start building real wealth and have access. Now there's so many programs out there like home equity lines of credit and these accelerated mortgage options where like you can leverage the equity in your home to take it out and use it towards building wealth in other vehicles, like buying more real estate. Like, so it's not just like the money you put in there, you don't see it. You can access that equity at any time
without selling.
without selling.
Yep. One of the things that I hear people say is one of the things that I actually believe in myself is that when you're buying real estate, you make the money when you buy.
Yes, not when you sell.
You have to get a good deal.
Absolutely.
Because you look at the market, and over the last like year or two,
Yeah.
it's kind of trickled down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it obviously it depends on location and the
Yeah.
market that you're in, but you have to approach the buying process.
Yeah, because you could never change the price of the house, but you could always change your rate or your terms, right?
Yes.
So it's like people are chasing the wrong thing, right? Get the great deal on the house. You know, like, again, I love using actual practical numbers to understand this, but let's say your average home in Central Florida is 400 grand. Let's say you can get a 10% discount on that home today. So you're buying it for 360.
Mhm.
So let's just say you get a 6% rate today, opposed to the 4% rate you're chasing. And let's just say these numbers are not perfect, but let's just say the difference between a 4% and a 6% on a $400,000 purchase is, I'll go on the high and say $400 a month. Okay. So if it took you 2 years to refinance, that's $4,800 a year, or let's call it 10 grand in extra interest you're paying to secure that home now. But in 2 years, if the market rebounds and comes back by that 10%, would you rather have spent $10,000 to gain $40,000 in equity, or would you rather pay $40,000 more for that house? I think you can answer that question yourself. Do you get what I'm saying?
It's the interest.
Yeah, like you're paying way less for interest than you are missing out on an opportunity to buy a house at a discount today.
So what you're saying is the price isn't as important as the terms you get on the loan.
The terms of the loan are not as important as the price you get on the house.
The terms are not as important as the price. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, when someone looks at buying a house, I think what we saw like in the last 2 years is people had this like FOMO.
Yeah.
Or last 3 years really. This FOMO where they thought, I got to buy a house now before the market continues to go up.
Right.
And I get priced out, being able to afford something. And that mindset created this market that we're in now, where we're seeing like, a lot of people who really can't afford the houses that they bought, and then they can't sell because
they're upside down. Yeah.
They would be selling, short selling it for a loss. And so we have this weird market where it's like it's hard to buy, it's hard to sell. It's
the best time to buy or sell is when it's the best time to buy or sell for you.
True.
It's circumstantial, man. And I think that people are looking at other people's circumstances to determine what's best for them. Like, listen, if you're renting, you're ready to take the next step in your life and you want to own a home because your family's growing, you got a new job, you need to relocate, buy a home. If you need to sell your house. Stop looking at what everybody else is doing, because their situation is definitely not going to be your situation. So it's all circumstantial.
Keeping up with the Jones.
Yeah, man, circumstantial. Like, listen, like the best time to do is when you're most comfortable.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy.
I always say the best time to buy was last year.
Yeah.
Or 10 years ago.
Yeah, because it's certainly it's not a straight line up, but it is a line up.
Yeah. So for anybody watching this, I guess my next question would be, what is the most important aspect to look at when they're getting a loan?
Well, getting a loan is not as complicated as one would think, right? So that's the first thing, is people overcomplicate and think it's a long drawn out process. So the first thing is like getting your mindset right. Okay. Like getting in the game. But once you do, you just really need to prepare to know a couple things, like, how much money you have, what is your budget. When you talk to somebody like myself, there's the difference between what you qualify for and what you can afford. One thing we haven't talked about is affordability. The reality is, even if people can afford it, doesn't mean they want to or they need to. So you really need to know what your budget is and what you're comfortable with. Just because you're spending $2,000 a month in rent doesn't mean that you're going to get a mortgage for $1,800 or $2,000. You have to really think to yourself, like I described, hey, this is an investment. Even if I go a little bit above my comfort zone, I know that I'm going to see a future return on this. So I think it's a lot to do with mindset and understanding like where you're going before you talk to a lender. And I mean, that's it, man. I mean, you got to know your credit, income, and assets.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
That's,
really
that's what we were
simple.
saying earlier, because we were talking about Florida being as
Mhm.
awesome as it is, as amazing as it is, and all the different things you could do in Florida.
Yeah.
And then one of the conversations we had was we talked about being house poor.
Yep.
And some people, they have this idea that they're going to get this big, beautiful house because they, like we said, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And then they end up not actually being able to afford a life outside of their home. They're house poor.
Yeah.
And there's just so much to do here. Like, you want to make sure the mindset is right. Like, do you need the biggest, best house
Yeah,
on the
quality of
block?
life is everything. I agree with that. But there's also so many incredible deals right now, man. We talk about a period in time where there's opportunities. There's new construction communities that are offering ridiculously low rates and incentives. There's super motivated sellers for existing homes that will get aggressive to help you get your best rate. So you say, what's your best advice for somebody getting started? Is just get started, right? Like, get out there and see and educate yourself what's actually available and talk to an expert. Not your friend or somebody who doesn't own a home or hasn't done it before. Get out there, talk to an expert. That's it.
Do you truly believe real estate is the best way to build wealth in 2026?
I think there's a million ways to build wealth. I think you should do what you're comfortable with. I think real estate has a proven track record. If you asked me that question 6 months ago when the stock market was rallying, I'd probably say no. But, we all, again, chase that shiny object. Like, what's the hot thing of the month? Is it crypto? Is it the stock market? Is it this business? Is it that business? But at the end of the day, I guess thinking about it and talking about it loud, I would say yes, because real estate has been the most consistent. Because why? It's a tangible asset that you can actually hold, see, and feel. And a lot of investments out there that people are chasing shiny objects are not tangible assets, like stocks and crypto. I'm a big fan of stuff like that, but you got to be very careful and really know what you're doing to play in that market.
Yeah, I really feel like that's like gambling. And I guess investing.
You and my wife will get along great.
Well, the one thing I like about real estate is you actually have some control over it.
Yeah,
And you can actually improve the asset.
exactly.
And the only other thing you do that with is businesses.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of like
Yeah.
hope and you pray.
Yeah. So I think what's important for people is get with somebody like us that has been through it. We're homeowners, we're business owners. We've been through this. We do this every single day, and get somebody's opinion on, from somebody who's actually done it.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
All right, cool.
See you guys.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think we got a lot there. That was good.
Yeah. So you're gonna cut it up?
Yeah, I'm going to use Opus.